Welcome to Monsters in My Mind. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the stories. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And as always, thank you for watching. Now, let the chills begin. The Campsite. Written and narrated by Robert Behrman. It had been a last-minute idea to go on this camping trip. My dad, he loved spooky stories, and he had heard of an area that had some strange happenings. He came home from work and just blurted out his plan right there in the living room. We were to go camp on the outskirts of an old estate, and then, when it was day, we'd go and explore it. I guess he heard that there had been some reports of hauntings or disappearances around there, but he figured it was safe, being about a mile away from the old house. We spent all summer moving here, and my mom, she just adored camping. Seeing how we hadn't done any that summer, she jumped at the chance. So we threw some clothes in the bag and loaded up the car. Then we headed out in the late afternoon. It was dark. I remember that for sure. We hadn't gotten to the campground yet. My dad had gotten lost. There weren't any lights. It must have been overcast. I don't even remember there being any headlights. There was nothing to break up the blackness, I guess you could call it. I don't know. It was weird, but it was all I could see. And just like I'm remembering it now, it felt surreal. No stars, no lights from a town, no headlights, not even lights from the interior of the car we were in. It was like someone had tucked me inside of an envelope, and the seal had been set. Somehow, we finally made it to the campground. It was more like a clearing in the woods than a campground. It was about a half a mile from the road. Mom and Dad managed to put the tent up with no light. I know I saw them. I saw them and my brother clearly, as if they were a source of illumination in the constant blackness. I had been feeling out of it since the sun started to set. And right after we passed the old bridge, I could see them and myself in the car. It was like I was looking down on myself from outside the car. We didn't own a convertible. I could see through the metal roof of the car though. I don't know, I was out of my body watching everything happen. Stiff and deliberate. Well, that's how I moved. It was like a puppet. I think that freaked my mom out. She kept asking if I felt alright. Well, we ate something that my mom quickly threw together. There was laughter. Our laughter. We were happy. I remember that for sure as well. But the in and out of my body feeling? Yeah, that continued the whole time. It was dizzying and made me slightly nauseous. Mom sent me to bed because of my unusual actions. She tucked me into my sleeping bag. The noise outside, I could hear them talking. They were laughing and talking with my older brother. He was 16, soon to turn 17, and they were discussing his plans for the future. He was the captain of the football team. He already had scouts watching him. I was sure he was going to make it far. It was really hard to sleep. And when I did, my sleep came like a fit. There were trees. A cone of light is shown down a pathway, but outside of the light was nothing but pitch black. And I didn't want to look anywhere but down that cone. It was like a funnel drawing me down. The leaves rustled as I passed, like the wind itself was chasing me. And then I came up on a campsite. And then I realized it was our campsite, and everyone was asleep. Somehow the ties of the mosquito screen, they just slid apart on their own. And I found myself standing over me, watching me. And then I just snapped right awake. I was inside myself again. But now, there was a strange figure standing over me. She was a beautiful woman, I think. I mean, she looked beautiful at first. Yet the longer I looked at her, the more things got distorted. Her eyes sunk in and her mouth cracked. It scared me, but it was also appealing to me. She flickered in and out of this state of looking good and then just looking cracked. Still, I was morbidly drawn to her. I was compelled to follow her as she turned and appeared to float off. She couldn't have been floating, though, because she had feet. I saw them move. Maybe. None of this seemed real to me. I thought I was just dreaming. I followed her back down the path that I had taken to the campsite. The leaves, by now, had stopped moving. We walked for at least a mile before we came to a beautiful mansion. It looked old, but in good repair. Somehow, it reminded me of the lady I was following. She got to the door first and entered. When I got in, she was nowhere to be seen. It was dark again, but I could make everything out clearly. I heard muffled talking. Something was calling my name. I ran down the hallway, looking for whatever it was. It sounded so familiar. This house was enormous, and I just ran through room after room, so many that I lost count. There was a large study with books lining the wall up to the ceiling, a dining room with a 20-foot table, and another winding hallway led me to stairs that went down. Wait, that can't be right. Since I entered on the ground floor, how did I get upstairs? I don't know, that part is so fuzzy. Yet I took the stairs down and ended back on the ground floor. And that's where I saw my family. They were just entering the house. They were the ones calling out. My mom was hysterical, almost in tears. My brother and father were worried, judging by the tone of their voices. Frantically, they called me. At the base of the stairs, I stood still. My feet wouldn't move. They wouldn't follow the orders. My brain was screaming at them. My family each had flashlights in their hands. I could see them, but the light cast from them was lost to me. They finally turned in my direction. A flashlight was pointed right at my face. Still, no light came out of it. My mother ran and embraced me. She was crying and scared. "What's wrong, baby? How did you get all the way out here?" She kept asking me over and over. No response would leave my mouth. My arms just hang dead at my side. She stopped asking and started to stroke my hair and looked into my eyes. And then it was like a force made me look down. I could see my arms, but they were not my arms. They looked aged and ugly. Yet they looked just like mine. And a knife. It was in my hands. How did it get there? I don't remember. Next thing I know, that knife was in my mother's belly. Her screaming ringed in my ears, and the knife just slid upward, and those screams just turned to bloody gurgles. My brother and father, they ran to her and pushed me down. "She's gone," is all I remember my father saying before he slumped over her dead body crying. Well, my brother, he turned and he tried to hit the knife out of my hand. I caught his hand with my other hand and he tried to struggle, but his strength and 3 years of age didn't matter. I pulled him onto the blade of the knife and ran him through, pushing his body off the blade. I just walked to my father. He just looked at me. He couldn't do anything. I guess it was just the shock. He just looked at me with those tears in his eyes. And then blood flew from his neck as I ran the knife across it. I don't remember anything else. It's just a blur. I get just snapshots of their cuts. A crawl space with a silver box, and I was just stuffing parts of my family into the box. Trees flew by as I ran down the pathway again, and for some reason, I remember running down it 3 times. It finally becomes clear again when the police car found me on an old dirt road, and I was just curled up in a fetal position, sobbing and covered in blood. They found my family in their sleeping bags. All their insides had been removed. The psychologist said it would be good for me to talk about my story, to just clear it out of my head and try to accept what I had done. The lady and out-of-body experiences were all just due to me having some kind of dissociative disorder. I don't know if that's true, but I know it wasn't me. I couldn't have done that. I loved my family. All I ask for is that darkness doesn't ever return. Thank you for watching